The stars had always been quiet. For thousands of years, humans looked up at the night sky and wondered if they were alone. They built telescopes and sent radio signals into the darkness. They dreamed of finding friends among the stars. But when the answer finally came, it was not a message of friendship. Captain Minu stood on the bridge of the starship Defiance. He was a tall man with tired eyes and strong hands. He had served in the Earth Defense Fleet for 20 years. He had seen many things in space. He had fought pirates near Mars. He had rescued colonists from dying stations, but he had never seen anything like this. On the main screen, a fleet of alien ships filled the view. There were hundreds of them, maybe thousands. They were massive vessels, each one bigger than anything humanity had ever built. Their hulls were dark purple and covered with strange symbols that glowed with blue light. They moved in perfect formation, like a wall of metal spreading across the stars. "How many ships do you count?" Minu asked. His voice was calm, but his heart was beating fast. Lieutenant worked at her station. She was young, only 25 years old, but she was one of the best officers in the fleet. Her fingers moved quickly across her console as she analyzed the sensor data. "I count 1,247 vessels, Captain," she said. "The largest ones are approximately 15 kilometers long. Their weapon systems are, Captain, their weapons are unlike anything in our database." Commander stepped forward. He was Minu's oldest friend. They had served together since they were young officers. Was a big man with a serious face, but Minu knew he had a good heart. "This is bad," said quietly. "Our entire fleet has only 300 ships, and our biggest vessel is only 2 kilometers long." Minu nodded slowly. He had already done the math in his head. If these aliens wanted to fight, humanity would lose. It would not even be close. The alien fleet could destroy every human ship and then burn every human colony. Earth itself would fall in hours. "Open a channel," Minu ordered. "Let us hear what they have to say." Pressed a button. The main screen changed. Instead of the alien fleet, they now saw a face. But it was not a human face. It was something else entirely. The alien had gray skin that looked like wet stone. Its eyes were large and completely black, like 2 pools of oil. It had no nose, only 2 small slits where a nose should be. Its mouth was wide and filled with small, sharp teeth. When it spoke, its voice was deep and cold. "Primitive species of the 3rd planet," the alien said. "I am High Commander of the Galactic Sovereignty Council. You have been observed. You have been judged. You have been found lacking." Minu felt anger rise in his chest, but he kept his face calm. He had learned long ago that showing emotion to an enemy was a weakness. "I am Captain Minu of the Earth Defense Fleet," he replied. "We welcome peaceful contact with other species, but we do not accept judgments from those we have never met." The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. It was an ugly sound, like rocks grinding together. "Your acceptance is not required," said. "The Galactic Sovereignty Council rules this galaxy. We have ruled it for 100,000 of your years. Every species must obey our laws. There are no exceptions." Minu looked at. His friend's face was dark with anger. Minu looked at. Her hands were shaking slightly, but her eyes were steady. He looked around the bridge at his crew. Every one of them was afraid, but every one of them was also ready to fight. "What laws are you speaking of?" Minu asked. His black eyes seemed to grow even darker. "The laws of submission," he said. "First, you will surrender all weapons, every ship, every gun, every missile, they will be destroyed. Second, you will limit your population. No species may grow beyond what the Council allows. Third, you will pay tribute. Half of all resources your species produces will belong to the Council. Fourth, you will not leave your solar system without permission. You are primitive. You are dangerous. You must be controlled." The bridge was silent. Minu could hear his own heartbeat in his ears. He could hear the quiet hum of the ship's engines. He could hear take a deep breath. "And if we refuse?" Minu asked. Smiled. It was a terrible smile, full of sharp teeth and cruel pleasure. No species has ever refused, he said. Those who considered refusal were taught the cost of disobedience. Their worlds were burned. Their people were scattered. Their names were erased from history. You have 24 of your hours to accept our terms. If you do not, we will make an example of your species. The screen went dark. The alien's face disappeared, but the fleet remained, thousands of ships hanging in space like a death sentence. Hit his fist against the wall. We cannot accept this, he growled. They want to make us slaves. They want to take everything we have built. I know, Minyu said quietly. Looked up from her console. Captain, I am receiving transmissions from Earth. Every government is demanding to know what is happening. The people are afraid. Some are already suggesting surrender. Minyu closed his eyes for a moment. He thought about his home. He thought about the small village where he grew up, near the mountains in Korea. He thought about his mother, who had died when he was young. He thought about his father, who had taught him to never bow to those who threatened him. Send a message to Earth Command, Minyu said. Tell them I am taking command of the situation. Tell them to prepare for war. Stared at him. War? Minyu, did you see their fleet? We cannot win a war against them. Maybe not, Minyu admitted. But we can fight, and if we must die, we will die standing, not kneeling. He turned to face his crew. They were looking at him with wide eyes. Some of them were crying. Some of them were praying, but all of them were listening. I know you are afraid, Minyu said. I am afraid too. These aliens have come to take our freedom. They have come to make us obey their laws. They think we are weak because we are new to space. They think we will surrender because they have more ships, but they do not know humans. He walked to the center of the bridge. His boots made heavy sounds on the metal floor. Humans have always fought against those who tried to control them, he continued. We have fought against kings and emperors. We have fought against tyrants and dictators. We have fought against anyone who said we must obey without question. Sometimes we lost. Sometimes we suffered. But we never stopped fighting. That is what it means to be human. Wiped tears from her eyes. Captain, what should we do? Minyu smiled. It was a small smile, but it was real. First, we need to learn everything we can about these aliens. Find their weaknesses, find their fears. Second, we need to contact every ship in our fleet. Tell them to prepare for battle. Third, we need to send a message to Earth. Tell our people what is happening. Tell them to be ready. Nodded slowly. And what about the ultimatum? What will you say to the aliens? Minyu looked at the main screen. The alien fleet was still there, waiting. They expected humanity to fall to its knees. They expected humans to beg for mercy. They had never met a species that said no. When the time comes, Minyu said, I will give them an answer they will never forget. The next hours were busy. Minyu sent messages to every ship in the Earth Defense Fleet. He spoke with admirals and generals. He spoke with scientists and engineers. He spoke with the leaders of every nation on Earth. Some people wanted to surrender. They said the aliens were too strong. They said fighting would only bring death. They said it was better to live as slaves than die as free people. But others refused to accept that choice. They said humanity had not come so far just to kneel before aliens. They said freedom was worth dying for. They said their children deserved a better future than slavery. In the end, the leaders of Earth made their decision. They would not surrender. They would fight. They would show the galaxy that humans would never be controlled. Minyu sat alone in his quarters after the decision was made. He looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, the alien fleet was waiting. In less than 20 hours, they would expect an answer. He thought about all the people on Earth. Billions of lives depending on what happened next. Mothers and fathers, children and grandparents, farmers and teachers, scientists and artists, all of them looking up at the sky, wondering if they would survive. Minyu made a promise to himself. He would do everything in his power to protect them. He would fight with every breath in his body. He would never give up. Even if he died, he would die knowing he had tried. There was a knock at his door. It was. "Captain," she said, "we have been analyzing the alien ships. We found something interesting." Minyu stood up. "What did you find?" Handed him a data pad. "Their ships are powerful, but they all follow the same patterns. They move in formation. They attack in waves. They do exactly what their commanders tell them. They do not think for themselves." Minyu looked at the data. A small hope began to grow in his chest. "You mean they cannot adapt? They cannot change their plans during battle?" "That is correct," Captain said. "They are strong, but they are also predictable. If we can surprise them, we might have a chance." Minyu smiled again. It was still a small smile, but it was brighter than before. "Good work, Lieutenant. Keep analyzing. Find every weakness you can. When the battle begins, we will need every advantage." Saluted and left. Minyu looked at the data pad again. The aliens thought they were facing a primitive species. They thought humans would be easy to control. They were wrong. The countdown continued. The moment of truth was coming, and Captain Minyu was ready to show the galaxy what humans were made of. The countdown had reached its final hours. On the bridge of the Defiance, the crew worked without rest. They checked systems, analyzed data, and prepared for whatever was coming. The tension was thick in the air, like a storm waiting to break. Captain Minyu stood at the center of it all. He had not slept in 2 days. His eyes were red and tired, but his mind was sharp. He watched his crew move around him, and he felt proud. These were good people, brave people. They deserved a captain who would not fail them. Commander approached with a cup of hot tea. "You need to drink something," he said. "You cannot fight a war if you collapse from exhaustion." Minyu took the cup and smiled at his old friend. "Thank you. What is the status of our fleet?" Pulled up a display on the main screen. Blue dots appeared, showing the position of every human ship. 287 vessels are in formation. The remaining ships are protecting Earth and the colonies. Admiral has taken command of the defensive line. Minyu nodded. Admiral was a good leader. If anyone could protect Earth, it was her. And the alien fleet. "Still waiting," said. "They have not moved since they arrived. They are confident we will surrender." Minyu sipped his tea. It was warm and helped calm his nerves. They are about to learn that confidence was a mistake. Lieutenant looked up from her station. "Captain, we are receiving a transmission from the alien flagship. High Commander wants to speak with you." Minyu set down his cup. He straightened his uniform and took a deep breath. This was the moment. Everything he said now would change history. "Put him on screen," Minyu ordered. The main display flickered, and his gray face appeared. His black eyes stared at Minyu with cold arrogance. Behind him, Minyu could see other aliens moving around the bridge of the massive flagship. "Captain Minyu," said, "your time has ended. The Galactic Sovereignty Council demands your answer. Will your species submit to our laws, or will you choose destruction?" Minyu looked at the alien. He saw the confidence in those black eyes. He saw the expectation of obedience. Had done this many times before. He had threatened countless species. He had watched them all fall to their knees in fear. But Minyu was not afraid. Not anymore. Fear had been replaced by something stronger, something that burned in his chest like fire. "High Commander," Minyu began. His voice was calm and steady. "I have consulted with the leaders of my world. I have spoken with admirals and generals, with scientists and ordinary citizens. I have heard many opinions and considered many options." Leaned forward slightly. His thin lips curved into what might have been a smile. "And what have you decided?" Minyu paused. The bridge was completely silent. Every crew member was holding their breath. On Earth, billions of people were watching this transmission. The entire human species was waiting for his words. "You have come to our space with your fleet," Minyu said. "You have threatened our people. You have demanded that we give up our weapons, limit our children, and pay you tribute. You have told us to kneel before you and accept your laws." He took a step forward, closer to the screen. "High Commander, on behalf of Earth and all of humanity, I give you our answer." Minyu smiled. It was not a nervous smile or a polite smile. It was the smile of a man who had made peace with his choice. "That is cute," he said. For a long moment there was only silence. His face did not change. His black eyes stared at Minyu without blinking. "I do not understand," the alien finally said. "What does this word mean, cute?" Stepped forward, a grin spreading across his face. "It means we find your threats amusing, High Commander, like a small animal trying to frighten a larger one." His expression shifted. For the first time, something other than confidence appeared on his face. It was confusion, pure, complete confusion. "You are mocking us?" asked. "You understand that we will destroy your species. We have 1,000 ships. You have less than 300. You cannot win." Minyu crossed his arms. "Maybe you will destroy us. Maybe you will burn our worlds and scatter our people, but we will not kneel. We will not obey. We will fight you with everything we have. And when you finally defeat us, if you defeat us, you will remember the cost. You will remember that humans did not surrender." His gray face darkened with anger. "You are fools. Every species that the Council was erased. Your names will be forgotten. Your history will be deleted. It will be as if you never existed." "Then we will be forgotten as free people," Minyu replied. "That is better than being remembered as slaves." The alien made that grinding sound again, the ugly laugh. But this time it was not confident. It was angry. "You have made your choice, Captain Minyu. In 6 of your hours we will begin our attack. Your world will burn. Your people will die. And I will personally ensure that your death is slow and painful." "You are welcome to try," Minyu said simply. The screen went dark. His face disappeared, but Minyu could feel the alien's rage hanging in the air like electricity. The bridge erupted in noise. Crew members were talking, shouting, some even laughing, grabbed Minyu's shoulder and shook him. "That was incredible," said. "You told them exactly what they needed to hear. The whole galaxy probably heard that message." Was smiling, her eyes bright with tears. "Captain, transmissions are coming from everywhere. Earth is cheering. The colonies are cheering. People are saying we have already won, even if we lose the battle." Minyu raised his hand, and the bridge grew quiet again. "We have not won anything yet," he said seriously. "In 6 hours, the most powerful fleet this galaxy has ever seen will attack us. Many of us will die, maybe all of us. But we have done something important today. We have shown the galaxy that humanity will not submit. Whatever happens next, remember that." He turned to face the main screen, where the alien fleet still waited. "Now let us prepare for war." The next hours passed quickly. Every ship in the human fleet moved into position. Weapons were charged. Shields were raised. Pilots climbed into their fighters and waited for orders. On Earth, civilians gathered in shelters and watched the news. Parents held their children close. Old people remembered other wars, other times when humanity faced destruction. Young people wondered if they would live to see tomorrow. In a small room deep inside the Defiance, Lieutenant worked alone. She was surrounded by screens showing data about the alien fleet. She had been studying them for days, looking for any weakness, any pattern that could be used. And she had found something. She ran to the bridge as fast as she could. When she arrived, Minyu was talking with about battle strategies. "Captain," called out, "I found something important." Minyu turned to face her. "What is it, Lieutenant?" Took a deep breath. Her heart was racing with excitement. "I have been analyzing the alien communication systems. Their ships do not think independently. They receive orders from the flagship and follow them exactly. But the communication uses a specific frequency that we can block." Frowned, block their communications. That would cause chaos in their fleet. "Exactly," said. Without orders from the flagship, their ships will not know what to do. They might even start making mistakes. It will not destroy them, but it will give us time. Time to fight back. Time to survive. Minyu felt hope rise in his chest again. Can you do it? Can you block their frequency? Nodded. I need 30 minutes to prepare the equipment. But yes, Captain, I can do it. Minyu smiled at her. Then do it, Lieutenant, and well done. You may have just saved us all. As ran back to her station, Minyu looked at. We might actually have a chance. Nodded slowly. A small chance, but that is better than no chance at all. The final hour arrived. The alien fleet began to move. Thousands of ships advanced toward the human line, their weapons glowing with deadly energy. Minyu stood on the bridge watching them come. His crew was ready. His fleet was ready. Earth was ready. All ships, Minyu said into the communication system. This is Captain Minyu. The enemy is approaching. Remember why we fight. Remember what we protect. Today, we show the galaxy what it means to be human. He paused, looking at the endless wave of alien ships. Fire at will. The first shots were fired. Beams of light crossed the darkness between the fleets. Ships exploded on both sides. The battle for Earth had begun. And somewhere on the alien flagship, High Commander was about to learn that humans were not the primitive species he thought they were. They were something far more dangerous. They were fighters. They were survivors. They were free. The first wave of battle was chaos. Ships from both sides filled the darkness with light and fire. Energy weapons cut through the void like burning knives. Missiles streaked across space, leaving trails of white smoke behind them. Explosions bloomed like deadly flowers. Captain Minyu gripped the arms of his command chair as the Defiance shook from another near miss. An alien weapon had come close, too close, and the ship's shields had absorbed most of the impact. But he knew the shields would not last forever. Status report, he called out. Commander checked his screens. His face was grim. We have lost 43 ships in the first 15 minutes. The aliens have lost only 12. Their shields are stronger than we expected. Minyu nodded. The numbers were bad but not surprising. The alien technology was clearly superior. Every human ship that fell took a piece of his heart with it, but he could not think about that now. He had to focus on survival. Lieutenant, he shouted over the noise of battle. Is the communication blocker ready? Was working frantically at her station. Sparks flew from a damaged panel next to her, but she did not stop. Almost, Captain. I need 2 more minutes. You have 1 minute, Minyu replied. We will not last longer than that. On the main screen, Minyu watched the alien fleet move with perfect coordination. Their ships attacked in waves just as had predicted. One group would fire, then fall back while another group advanced. It was efficient, it was effective, and it was completely predictable. But prediction meant nothing if they could not survive long enough to use it. All ships, execute Maneuver Delta 7, Minyu ordered into the communication system. The human fleet responded instantly. Every ship changed direction at the same moment, diving below the alien formation. It was a dangerous move, exposing their weaker rear shields to enemy fire, but it also confused the aliens for a precious few seconds. Those seconds saved lives. Maneuver successful, reported. We only lost 3 ships instead of the estimated 15. Minyu allowed himself a small breath of relief. Good, keep them guessing. Humans are not machines. We do not fight in patterns. Suddenly stood up from her station. Captain, the blocker is ready. Minyu turned to face her. Activate it now. Pressed a single button. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. The battle continued. Ships still fired at each other. Explosions still lit up the darkness. Then something changed. The alien fleet began to lose its perfect coordination. Ships that had been moving in formation started to drift apart. Some ships fired at empty space. Others collided with each other. On the alien flagship, High Commander was screaming orders, but his orders were not reaching his ships. The communication frequency was blocked by the human device. His fleet was suddenly blind and deaf. "It is working," shouted. His face was lit with joy. "Their ships are confused. They do not know what to do." Minyu stood up from his chair. This was their chance, maybe their only chance. "All ships, this is Captain Minyu. The enemy communications are blocked. Attack now with everything you have. Target their weapon systems first. Do not let them recover." The human fleet surged forward. What had been a desperate defense became a fierce attack. Human ships dove between the confused alien vessels, firing at close range where their weaker weapons could penetrate the alien shields. Ships exploded everywhere. This time most of them were alien. But Minyu knew this advantage would not last forever. The aliens were confused now, but they would adapt. They would find new ways to communicate. They would restore order to their fleet. He needed to cause as much damage as possible before that happened. He said, "How long will the blocker last?" Checked her readings. "I cannot say for certain, Captain. They will eventually find a way around it. Maybe 10 minutes, maybe less." "Then we need to make these 10 minutes count." Minyu studied the main screen. In the center of the alien formation, he could see the flagship. It was the largest ship, almost 20 kilometers long. It was It was the brain of the entire fleet. "If we destroy the flagship," Minyu said quietly, "the confusion will become permanent." Stepped closer. The flagship, Minyu, that ship is protected by dozens of escort vessels. Even with their communications blocked, they will defend it with their lives. "I know," Minyu replied. "That is why I am going to lead the attack myself." Grabbed his arm. "You cannot be serious. The captain does not lead suicide missions." Minyu looked at his old friend. He saw fear in his eyes, but he also saw understanding. Knew that sometimes leaders had to do what others could not. "The Defiance is the fastest ship in our fleet," Minyu said. "And I know every weakness of the alien ships, thanks to its analysis. If anyone can reach that flagship, it is us." Was silent for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. "Then I am coming with you. Someone has to watch your back." Minyu smiled. "I would not have it any other way." He turned to face his crew. "Anyone who wants to leave this ship should do so now. What we are about to attempt is dangerous. Most likely, we will not survive. I will not order anyone to die with me." The bridge was quiet. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Then stood up. "Captain, I have served on this ship for 3 years. It is my home. I am not leaving." One by one, every crew member stood. They looked at Minyu with steady eyes. They were afraid, but they were also ready. Navigator Jinna stepped forward. She was a small woman with quick hands and quicker reflexes. She had flown the Defiance through asteroid fields and solar storms. She was the best pilot in the fleet. "Just tell me where to go, Captain," Jinna said. "I will get us there." Minyu felt tears forming in his eyes, but he blinked them away. He could not cry now. He had to be strong for these people who trusted him. "Then let us begin," he said. "Navigator, set course for the alien flagship. Maximum speed. Everyone else prepare for heavy combat." The Defiance turned toward the heart of the alien fleet. Its engines burned with blue fire as it accelerated. Around it, other human ships moved to provide cover. The aliens noticed immediately. Even with their communications blocked, they could see one human ship charging toward their most important vessel. Ships broke from their confused formations and moved to intercept. "Enemy vessels approaching," reported. 12. No, 2040 ships are moving to stop us." "Jinna, evasive maneuvers," Minyu ordered. "Use everything you have." Jinna's hands flew across her controls. The Defiance began to move in ways that should have been impossible. It rolled and twisted, diving between enemy ships, dodging weapons fire by centimeters. It was like watching a dancer move through a storm of fire. An alien ship appeared directly in their path. Its weapons were aimed straight at the Defiance. "I cannot dodge this one," Jinna shouted. "Then go through it," Minyu replied. Jinna did not hesitate. She aimed the Defiance at the alien ship and accelerated. The two vessels raced toward each other at incredible speed. At the last possible moment, Jinna made a tiny adjustment. The Defiance scraped along the side of the alien ship, tearing off pieces of both vessels. Sparks and metal flew everywhere. The bridge shook violently. But they were through. "Damage report," Minyu demanded. Checked his screens. "We lost our port shields, hull damage on decks 3 and 4, but we are still flying." "Good enough. How far to the flagship?" 2 minutes at current speed." Minyu watched the massive alien vessel grow larger on the screen. It was waiting for them. Its weapons were powering up. Dozens of escort ships were forming a protective wall around it. "This is where it gets interesting," Minyu said. Jinna laughed. It was a strange sound in the middle of battle, but it was real. "Captain, it has been interesting since we started." Minyu smiled. These were good people, brave people. Whatever happened next, he was honored to serve with them. The Defiance dove toward the flagship. The final battle was about to begin. On Earth, billions of people watched the small blue dot on their screens. They watched it race toward the massive enemy vessel. They held their breath and prayed. And somewhere in the darkness of space, Captain Minyu prepared to do the impossible. Because that was what humans did. They did the impossible. And they never, ever gave up. The alien flagship filled the entire screen now. It was like looking at a mountain made of metal and death. Weapons covered every surface of its hull, glowing with purple energy. Escort ships swarmed around it like angry insects protecting their hive. Captain Minyu stood firm as the Defiance raced towards certain death. His crew worked around him, each person focused on their task. They had accepted what was coming. They had made their peace. Now they would show the galaxy what humans were capable of. "Navigator, how close can you get us?" Minyu asked. Jinna studied her readings, her eyes moving rapidly across the data. "If I use the debris from the destroyed ships as cover, I can get us within 500 meters of the flagship hull. But Captain, at that distance, their weapons will tear us apart in seconds." "Then we need to make those seconds count," Minyu replied. He turned to, "Lieutenant, where is the flagship's weakest point?" Pulled up a diagram on her screen. "Based on my analysis, the main reactor is located here, near the center of the ship, but it is protected by multiple layers of armor. Our weapons cannot penetrate that deep." Stepped forward. "What if we do not use weapons? What if we use the Defiance itself?" Minyu understood immediately. "You mean ram them?" "Yes," said. "At full speed, we could punch through their armor and reach the reactor. The explosion would destroy the flagship completely." The bridge went silent. Everyone knew what that meant. There would be no escape, no rescue, just one final, desperate attack that would take their lives along with the enemy. Minyu looked around at his crew. He saw fear, but he also saw determination. These people had families on Earth. They had friends, homes, dreams for the future, and they were willing to give all of that up to save humanity. "I cannot ask you to do this," Minyu said quietly. Jinna laughed again, that same bright laugh from before. "You did not ask, Captain. We volunteered." Nodded. "My parents are on Earth. My little brother just started school. If we do not stop this fleet, they will become slaves, or worse. I would rather die free than live knowing I let that happen." Put his hand on Minyu's shoulder. "We have been friends for 20 years, Minyu. Did you really think I would let you do this alone?" Minyu felt something break inside him, but it was not despair. It was the last barrier of doubt falling away. He had the best crew in the universe. He was proud to die beside them. "Then let us end this," he said. "Jinna, full speed ahead. Target the reactor location. Broadcast a message to the fleet and to Earth. Let them know what we are doing." Nodded and opened a communication channel. "This is the Earth Starship Defiance. We are making a final attack on the alien flagship. If we succeed, the enemy fleet will lose its command ship. If we fail, tell our families we loved them." The Defiance accelerated to its maximum speed. The engine screamed with effort. The hull groaned as forces pressed against it. Everything shook. Around them, alien escort ships tried to stop them. Energy beams flashed past. Missiles exploded nearby. But Jinnah was too good, too fast. She dodged and weaved through the storm of fire, always moving forward, never slowing down. 5,000 meters, Jinnah reported. An explosion rocked the ship. Alarms screamed. "We lost our starboard engine," shouted, speed dropping. "Keep going," Minyu ordered. "We only need to reach them." 3,000 meters. Another explosion. The lights on the bridge flickered. Smoke began to fill the air. 2,000 meters. On the main screen, Minyu could see the flagship's weapons all turning toward them. In seconds, they would fire. The Defiance would be vaporized. Then something unexpected happened. A group of human ships appeared from nowhere. They had been hiding behind the debris of destroyed vessels, waiting for this moment. They flew directly at the escort ships, weapons blazing. "This is Commander of the destroyer Braveheart." A voice crackled over the communication system. "We are drawing their fire, Defiance. Complete your mission." Minyu watched as the Braveheart and 5 other human ships crashed into the escort formation. It was a suicide attack, just like theirs. More humans sacrificing themselves so that the Defiance could succeed. 1,000 meters. The flagship's weapons fired, but they were targeting the Braveheart, not the Defiance. Precious seconds were bought with blood. 500 meters, brace for impact. Minyu grabbed his chair. Around him, his crew held onto whatever they could find. The flagship filled the entire screen now. They could see individual panels on its hull. They could see the seams in its armor. "For Earth," Jinnah screamed. The Defiance hit the flagship at full speed. The impact was beyond anything they had experienced. The ship tore through the outer hull, crashing through layers of metal and machinery. Sparks and fire surrounded them. Walls collapsed. Consoles exploded. But somehow, impossibly, the Defiance kept going. They broke through into a massive chamber. Through the smoke and debris, Minyu could see a glowing sphere in the center. It was the reactor. They had made it. "All hands abandon ship," Minyu shouted. He knew it was pointless. There was nowhere to go, but something in him refused to simply accept death. Then he saw it. On the other side of the chamber there were escape pods. Alien escape pods, still attached to their launch mechanisms. They had crashed into an area meant for the crew to evacuate. "Get everyone to those pods, now." "Understood." He grabbed Jinnah and ran toward the damaged airlock. Other crew members followed, stumbling through the wreckage. Minyu turned to the weapons console. It was damaged but still functional. He targeted the reactor. "Captain, you have to come with us," screamed from the airlock. "Someone has to fire the weapon," Minyu replied. "The console is damaged. I have to do it manually." Started to come back, but Minyu held up his hand. "No, old friend, get them out. Get yourself out. Tell Earth what happened here. Tell them we won." Tears were streaming down his face. "Minyu." "Go," Minyu said softly. "That is an order." Saluted. It was the most painful salute of his life. Then he turned and ran to the escape pods. The crew piled in, and the pods launched, rocketing out of the flagship through the hole the Defiance had created. Minyu watched them go. He smiled. Then he turned back to the console and pressed the firing button. The Defiance's remaining weapons fired into the reactor at point-blank range. The effect was immediate. The reactor began to overload. Warning sounds filled the air. Explosions rippled through the flagship. High Commander was on his bridge when he felt the first explosion. He could not understand what was happening. How had the humans gotten past his defenses? How had they reached his ship? Then he saw the report. The reactor was overloading. The ship was going to explode. There was no way to stop it. No, whispered. This is impossible. They are primitives. They cannot. Another explosion cut off his words. The bridge began to collapse around him. His last thought was of Captain Minu's smile. That strange, confident smile that had refused to show fear. Now he understood what that smile meant. It meant the humans had never intended to win by force alone. They had intended to win by will. And they had succeeded. The flagship exploded. It was the largest explosion anyone had ever seen. A ball of white fire expanded outward, destroying everything nearby. Escort ships were vaporized. Debris flew in all directions. And in that moment, the Galactic Sovereignty Council lost its fleet. The remaining alien ships were completely lost without the flagship. Some tried to retreat. Others flew in circles, unsure what to do. The human fleet, battered and bleeding but still fighting, picked them off one by one. When it was over, only 300 alien ships remained from the original 1,200. They turned and fled into the darkness of space, running from the primitive species that had defeated them. On Earth, people erupted in celebration. They had watched the battle on their screens. They had seen the Defiance make its final run. They had seen the flagship explode. They knew what it had cost. And they would never forget the name of Captain Minu. In the cold darkness of space, looked out the window of the escape pod. He could see the debris of the flagship spreading across the stars. Somewhere in that debris was the Defiance. Somewhere in that debris was his best friend. "Thank you, Minu," he whispered. "We will make sure it was worth it." Beside him and Jinnah held each other and cried. They were alive. They should not have been alive, but because of one man's sacrifice, they would see Earth again. They would tell the story of Captain Minu. And the galaxy would remember. 1 year had passed since the Battle of Earth. The stars looked the same as they always had, but everything else had changed. The galaxy was a different place now, and humanity's role in it had transformed forever. Commander, now Admiral, stood on the bridge of the new flagship, the Minu. It was the largest ship humanity had ever built, named after the captain who had saved them all. Every time looked at the name on the wall, he felt both pride and sadness. Lieutenant stood beside him. She had been promoted twice since the battle and was now one of the most respected officers in the fleet. Navigator Jinnah had become famous throughout the galaxy for her impossible flying during the final attack. They were heroes, all of them. But they would always remember who the real hero was. "Admiral, we are approaching the neutral zone," reported. "The council representatives are waiting." Nodded. "Open a channel, let them see us." The main screen flickered and faces appeared. They were not all alike. Some were gray like had been. Others were different species with different features. Blue skin, green scales, metallic faces. The Galactic Sovereignty Council represented dozens of alien races. But today they were not giving orders. Today they were asking for peace. "Admiral of Earth," one of the aliens spoke. It was an older creature with wrinkled gray skin and tired black eyes. "I am High Counselor Merk. We have come to discuss terms." Crossed his arms. "You mean surrender terms?" The alien flinched at the word. "We prefer to call it a new understanding. The Council has reconsidered its position regarding your species." Almost laughed. 1 year ago, the Council had sent over 1,000 ships to make humanity kneel. They had expected easy victory. They had found something very different. After the Battle of Earth, everything changed. Word of humanity's victory spread across the galaxy at faster than light speed. Oppressed species heard the story. Enslaved worlds watched the recordings. They saw a primitive species defeat the mighty Council fleet. And they began to hope. Within months, rebellions erupted on a dozen Council worlds. Species that had been silent for centuries found their voices. They remembered what freedom felt like. They remembered what it meant to stand up. The Council tried to crush these rebellions, but they were fighting on too many fronts. Their fleet had been crippled at Earth. Their confidence had been shattered. For the first time in 100,000 years, the Galactic Sovereignty Council was afraid. "Your council ruled this galaxy through fear," said to the screen. "You threatened species into submission. You took their resources and controlled their futures. But fear only works when the people being threatened have no hope. Humanity gave them hope." High Counselor Merck lowered his head. "We understand this now. We have made many mistakes. The old ways of the Council were wrong. We see that now." "Do you?" asked. "Do you really understand? Because understanding is not enough. Action is required." Merck nodded slowly. "That is why we are here. We are prepared to offer major changes. The laws of submission will be ended. No species will be forced to pay tribute. Population limits will be removed. Species will be free to travel and trade as they wish." Whispered two, "This is more than we expected. They are really scared." Did not smile. He remembered Minu's words before the battle. Freedom was not something given. It was something taken. These aliens were only offering these changes because they had no choice. If they still had their full fleet, they would still be demanding obedience. "These changes are a good start," said, "but humanity wants more." Merck's eyes widened. "More? What more could you want? We are giving you freedom. We are giving you everything you asked for." "You misunderstand," replied. "We do not want things for ourselves. We want them for everyone, every species that you have oppressed, every world that you have conquered, every race that has lived in fear of your fleet." He stepped forward, closer to the screen. "Here are humanity's terms. First, the Council will release all conquered worlds. Species will be allowed to govern themselves. Second, the Council fleet will be reduced to defensive vessels only. No more invasion armadas. Third, a new galactic assembly will be created where every species has equal voice. No more rule by the few." Merck looked shocked. "You are asking us to give up everything, our power, our authority, everything we have built." "You built your power on slavery and fear," said calmly. "Now you will build something new, something better, or you will face more rebellions, more battles, more defeats. The choice is yours." The Council representatives spoke among themselves in low voices. Could not hear their words, but he could guess their thoughts. They were calculating. They were measuring costs and benefits. They were wondering if they could somehow regain their former power. But they all knew the truth. The age of the Council was ending. A new age was beginning. Finally, Merck turned back to the screen. His face was tired, but there was something else there too. Something that might have been relief. "Your terms are harsh," he said, "but we understand why they are necessary. The Council agrees to your conditions. We will begin the process immediately." Nodded. "Then humanity looks forward to working with you, not as rulers and subjects, but as partners. The galaxy has room for all of us." The communication ended. The Council faces disappeared from the screen. The bridge of the menu was silent for a long moment. Then spoke. "We did it. We actually did it. The Council is finished." Jenna appeared on the bridge, running from her station in navigation. "I just heard. Is it true? Did they really agree?" Smiled for the first time. "They agreed. The galaxy is going to change. Every species will be free." The crew began to cheer. People hugged each other. Some cried. After a year of uncertainty, a year of smaller battles and diplomatic struggles, the war was truly over. Stepped away from the celebration. He walked to the large window at the front of the bridge and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, among those tiny points of light, the Defiance had made its final flight. Somewhere out there, Captain Minu had given his life for this moment. "We did it, my friend," whispered to the stars. "We kept our promise. Earth is safe. The galaxy is free. Your sacrifice was not wasted." Joined him at the window. Do you think he would be proud? Nodded. I know he would be, but he would also remind us that the work is not finished. Freedom is not an ending, it is a beginning. A beginning of what? A new era, said. An era where species work together instead of fighting. An era where strength is used to protect, not to oppress. Captain Minu believed in that future. He died for it. Now we have to build it. Looked at the stars with him. Then that is what we will do. We will build the future he dreamed of. 1 month later, the first Galactic Assembly met. Representatives from over 200 species gathered on a neutral space station. Humans sat among aliens who had never seen their kind before. Former enemies became potential allies. Admiral gave the opening speech. He told the story of Captain Minu. He told the story of the Battle of Earth. He told the story of how one species' refusal to surrender had changed everything. We are not here because we are stronger than everyone else, said. We are here because we showed that strength alone is not enough. The galaxy was ruled by fear for 100,000 years. That era is over. Now we begin something new, something built on respect, cooperation, and freedom. He looked around the assembly hall. Thousands of eyes looked back at him. Some were hostile, some were skeptical, but many were hopeful. Humans have a saying, continued. It says that freedom is not free, it must be earned, it must be protected, and sometimes it must be fought for. Captain Minu understood this. He gave his life so that others could be free. Let us honor his memory by building a galaxy worthy of his sacrifice. The assembly erupted in applause. Aliens who had been enemies days before stood together. They clapped for the human who had spoken. They clapped for the human who had died. They clapped for the future that was finally possible. Far away on Earth, in a small village near the mountains in Korea, an old man watched the speech on his screen. He had never met Captain Minu, but he knew the family. He remembered a young boy who used to run through these streets, dreaming of the stars. That boy had grown up to save the galaxy. The old man smiled and raised his teacup to the screen. Well done, young one, he said. Well done. And somewhere among the stars, in the eternal darkness between worlds, the spirit of Captain Minu smiled too. His species was safe. The galaxy was free. And humanity had proven, once and for all, what happened when someone told them to obey. They answered with 2 words that would echo through history. That's cute.